I'm Robert Felker, and I'm been in Knoxville about 15 years now. And Patron Saints of Rock sort of began about 3-4 years ago, 2019, I believe. I had a show at the Bijou Theater, and I'd always kind of wanted to do some art of musicians or rock and rollers, and that venue provided me kind of an opportunity to give it a try. And so that's where it started. I had done Aretha Franklin back earlier in the year and for another show, and she didn't sell, and so I thought it would be great to do a show with more women, first of all, and she's the Queen of Soul, and so I was thinking queens, matriarchs, who else could fit in that category. And Madonna, of course, is someone I always wanted to do. She's a very exciting figure for me. And Dolly, of course, when in Rolla, we want to do another Dolly, right? So, and then so Lucinda is somebody I've seen a couple times and I just really, really admire. And so it kind of covers a broad spectrum of different styles, and I just wanted to show how this theme could fits across any genre, really. It begins with well, first of all, I have to be kind of interested in the person itself. That helps a lot. And then I just start doing some research. Really, I read about them, I listen to some of their music, I watch some live performances, and then I start gathering a bunch of photos, video, screen grabs, different things, put it all in a big basket, and then I start building a composition in Photoshop, if you will. And I try to stay away from using any one particular photograph because I don't want it to be just a copy of some photograph. So and I like the distortion that kind of happens when you sort of cobble something together, take a head from one photo and the pose from another, and I like the kind of way that actually ends up working out, despite the fact that they were taken at different times. So that's sort of an interesting side of it for me. And then after I get the composition I'm happy with, I also look for different elements from their background or their history or their performance history, and try to incorporate some little thing about them or their music or their catalog.
Like the Dolly outfit.
Yes, that I can, there's so many Dolly looks to choose from that it's hard to pick just one, but yes. So I try to incorporate something from their persona and make that part of the piece as well. So after I get everything done in Photoshop, I do a pretty detailed outline on the surface that I'm going to end up working on, and then I just start cutting and pasting. It's a very linear, deliberate process that I go through, and when it works great, I just sort of go through once and it happens magically. When it's more of a struggle, I have to pull things off and redo and kind of rework. But sometimes it's just magically works out, and that's when it's great. We'll have a session. If I start getting low on paper and colors, I will have a couple-hour session where I will just paint in a wide range of color, tone, texture, value, and then that becomes my sort of palette bin, if you will, and I have a lot to choose from. Sometimes I will do specific color schemes or colors for a particular piece, but usually I just try to keep enough in stock that I can just kind of pull from my inventory, if you will. It makes a pretty big mess, and I have to reorganize the colors after every piece, and usually during mid-piece I have to kind of reorganize it all. My favorite piece is the last one I did, the most recent one. So Lucinda was the last piece for the show that I was happy I was able to get done. While I was working on Madonna, that felt like an important one, just because of how it was coming out, and the research I did on her that I didn't know as much about her as I did. I learned a lot about how important she is, and just the artistic. It's just not all about the shock and awe with Madonna. It is very much about the artistic output as well, and a lot of people maybe don't realize that or think that about her.
Yeah.
So, and I got familiar with a lot of her music that I hadn't heard before, so that was a nice surprise. But it's hard to pick a favorite because they're kind of like children.
Yeah, they're your babies.
Aside from the collage world,
wanna
I'm also a painter.
Yeah.
I do landscape, plein air painting, still life, some portraiture, and I will have a show that I'm hanging next week at Westminster Presbyterian Church. They have a gallery just outside their sanctuary, and so I will be hanging that show. That'll be up in September and October. Other than that, I just continue to continue this series and get as many saints done as I can. A nice response I've had is the popularity of the Prince, and so I want to extend that as much as possible and build as big a church as I can. I've loved Rolla ever since I stepped in here, so I am, and you guys were the first to start carrying my Prince, and I'm just very happy that I am on this wall.